Good morning. I am Bobby Budram, reporting from G4TT1 Broadcasting Network. A group of ambitious teachers pursuing their studies at UWI Open Campus in the area of reflective practice are having a panel discussion today on the reflective practitioner through the eyes of Donald Schoon and other theorists. Let us turn our attention to them as they educate us today. They are known as the ambitious leaders. Welcome, guys. It is truly wonderful to have you all here today.
Hi, well, welcome to Ambitious Leaders. Our discussion today is about why Donald Schoon. So, for me, Donald Schoon is the most suitable theorist that we teachers can relate to, right? Because some of his theory applies to us. Schoon encourages teachers to reflect. And added to that, we are not expected to reflect in any particular place or any particular time, but we have to reflect ongoingly, right? And therefore, he encourages us to reflect on action and inaction. Well, reflecting in action is to reflect on behaviors as it happens. For example, I'm teaching my class, and a student shouts out and says, "Miss Andrews, my hand is bleeding." The first thing I'll think about as a teacher is to apply pressure to that wound to stop the bleeding. And then he says to reflect on action. And that is where we would reflect after the event has occurred. So after I've sent the child to the first aid nurse, and the child hand is bandaged up, after he comes back to the class, that's where I would have to reflect on that event that had occurred, to review and also to analyze and also to evaluate why this had occurred in my class. So this Donald Schoon's theory here really applies to us as teachers, and I believe it should be implemented in every aspect of our lives. That's good.
Good morning, everyone. I am Ruth Williams Charles, a secondary school teacher right here in Grenada. And it's a wonderful pleasure to be amongst my colleagues of the Ambitious Leaders Group as we engage in this session this morning. This is Mo. I would want to say thank you for the invitation. Along with Miss Andrew, I welcome the opportunity to be a part of this group. I must say that reflection has been doing so much for me. It has opened up my eyes in a different perspective to the reality of life. And every day is a learning process, as it rightfully says. Reflection is an ongoing process, and reflectivity on a whole is like the engine of reflection.
Okay, so any additional information my colleagues may have to add to what I have just said?
What I can look at is, for instance, when you said you apply pressure.
Yes.
Knowing how to apply the pressure relates to experience.
Yes.
So your experience as a pharmacist in that kind of area allowed you to do this.
Yes.
But an untrained mind or untrained person may not be able to know that. The first thing they will take is a piece of tissue and wrap it around the finger.
Say, well, go out of the classroom. Don't make the blood, stay in the flow. Yes.
Right.
And that is the reason why we have the new movement where we have pre-service teaching. So it's no longer a situation where you leave the secondary school or you leave the college and you get straight into teaching. It's a simple case now where you have to go back to teachers college to learn from a trained professional exactly how to go about this, the entire thing about teaching.
Yes.
It is no longer just about dropping you in and hope that you use reflection on action to get by anymore. It's reflection on action, reflection in action. And the only way you're going to do that is if you're able to reflect and reflect well from a trained professional. Bobby, any thoughts?
Yes, I agree. Yes, I agree with you guys 110%. one of the major factors is experiential learning, which is an important part of school theory also. And looking at the experiential learning comes in with the in-action and on-action, and I agree with you guys 110%.
Good.
Yes.
Because, for instance, if a new teacher is placed in a classroom, if they have no experience, there are certain things that they have to do. Like, for instance, when they have to think on their feet, they will do it based on their perception. So, school teaches us how to deal and work with what we have and what we know and what we have been taught also too. For instance, what we are doing here, most of us are not experiencing it 100%. We know the theories, and applying it now sometimes can be difficult. So that is where the in-action and on-action comes into play. It helps us to organize ourselves better, work together, and see what we can do based on our experience and what we are learning as trained professionals. That's where the apprenticeship is.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Yes, I agree with what you said.
What I was going to say is that I think we are being immersed into a very deep analytical thought.
Yeah.
Whereby before inexperienced people, they would just, how should I say, give examples that are not in depth. And this experience has made me analyze a lot more on a deeper cognitive way about my life and what I have to do to learn and to deliver to children. So I know we are on speakerphone here, so I'm just going to make it brief. I'm going to give you guys a chance to finish. Okay, Des? Thank you.
All right.
All right.
Okay, thank you, Bobby.
Okay, thank you, Bobby.
Now,
Okay.
for the past 16 years, as I said earlier, it has been total reflection for me on a day-to-day basis. Now, starting my teaching career from a very young age, I had to learn to develop a certain amount of, I had to develop a repertoire, a certain amount of imagery, a certain images, how to deal with this situation, how to deal with that situation. And ever so often when the situation arises again, I am basically placed with that same sort of dilemma that I would have been placed with before. So I have to confuse my mind all over again and come up with that strategy. But because I would have had the experience before, then I'm able to say, well, okay, I can do this, I can do that, and I'm thinking basically on my feet.
Yes.
I'm reflecting, I'm thinking, I'm fitting the situations in, but I'm thinking on my feet as well, simply because new situations occur.
Yes. And
So,
it can
we
occur
develop
anytime.
repertoires. We're able to do a lot of things, know a lot of things, because we've gone through these situations in the past already.
Yes.
However, the situations are not always the same.
True.
So we can treat each one of them as the same. So we have to go it over, and sometimes, and this is what makes it unique, because you always have to do this over and over and over, because it's the essence of life, and reflection is the essence of life. And this is what we do as teachers on a day-to-day basis. We reflect, we think back, as we say, we study the tape. We go back and we think about it, and we come up with those strategies to make us better.
Yes.
And that's what we do.
So if we choose Schoon's theory, right, we have him as our main man, and he's the one that is more adaptable to our environment. We were looking at Glaser also too. Then why not him why not Glaser instead of Schoon? Can we not look at that aspect also too? Because Glaser tends to look at the perfect environment for a child. And not always you can have the perfect environment for a child. You'll have to deal with situations that occur. For instance, if you're going down the road and you see a child misbehaving and so, it may not be the perfect environment, but you being a trained professional can assist that child in doing whatsoever he has to do, or to redirect that behavioral pattern also too. So the reason why I don't really like Glaser's theory, it lends itself to this perfect environment, perfect learning this and perfect learning that. With Schoon now, you can just open your awareness to certain things, open your minds to certain things, open your minds to certain
Because we have to
aspects.
test the waters.
That's
You know,
it.
we have to look at the situation and test it out.
That's
You know, there are times situations occur and we may not know exactly how to deal with it from the get-go. But because we sit back, maybe after the end of the day, reflect on it, we say, well, okay, this is the way we're going to go forward. And then we think about it, we come up with that strategy, with that approach. And, you know, we come to that conclusion how we are going to go about it. And in our teaching situation, we have to come up with an assortment of strategies to deal with our vast and varied classrooms. An assortment of strategies. So it's no longer, oh well, I'm gonna think about it when I get home. You have to think on your feet. We have to improvise, and that is what a learner practitioner has to do. You must improvise from start.
It's everyday life
Yeah,
situation.
you have to improvise.
Every day.
It's no longer about reflecting on past activities. We must reflect in action and on action. We must do that.
Because we have complex individuals dealing with. Human beings are complex individuals.
And they're different.
Yeah, different.
Every
They're very different.
individual is different.
And they are.
Yes.
And it lends
Different
itself
in
to that.
thinking and analyzing
And how they
and
do stuff.
interpreting.
You have no oral children, you have no academic children, you have no technical children who are visual, who are photographic.
are
How do you deal
tactile
with them
learners.
every day? And you have them in a classroom setting, all different or varying abilities in one classroom. How do you deal with it? So you cannot say that you'll have a perfect environment and work with the children in one aspect. No, you have to make sure you have different strategies
You know what
to
makes
work with.
Miss Mo, what makes school theory dynamic and relevant to us is the fact that, you know, maybe an accountant would have to deal with a specific process in accounting, or specific theory in accounting, or maybe a transaction in accounting.
Yes.
But for us as teachers, we have like 45 minds, individual minds to deal with on a particular basis. So we basically have to come up with strategies to deal with each and every single one of those individuals that we deal with on a day-to-day basis. And that's how it is very applicable to us,
Yes, very
because we have
applicable.
to go back and think. We have to force ourselves from time to time to think how we going to figure out this, reflect how we going to do this, how we going to do that, and come up with those strategies that could work in action.
In action. For instance, if we take a little look back or reflect a bit on us doing the introduction for the video, we can see that we were placed in a situation some of us were not comfortable with, and some
Very
of
much
us can
so.
share some
Very
of our
much so.
experience, and that
Very much
is
so.
where reflective practice comes into play. For instance, I've just listened to Mr. Abel do his take one after the next, and as he started to do the next one, you know, he started to feel
Getting
comfortable,
better and better, seeing
And
improvements,
That's
right?
and some of our students are like that.
Yes.
So
yes.
they have to get used to certain things. They have to practice it. And
that's right.
school lends itself to that practice. It opens that awareness for people to be able to embrace the theories and the theory as much as possible. That is why they say they want to apply it to education as much as they could.
I
It's more
totally agree.
suitable
Yeah,
is
I
for
totally agree.
topic in education.
Good day. We are here at the panel discussion. It has just been completed, and it must say it has been a very interesting day with a lot of ideas. And it brings to the fact that we understand that the whole is nothing but the sum of the parts. And all ideas are welcome. And this panel discussion seemed to have been very fruitful. And we must say thank you for those who participated in our panel discussion. And from the ambitious leaders, Desiree, Rhonda, Ruth, Carl, and myself, Bobby, we would like to thank you again for participating in our panel discussion. It was a pleasure interacting and exchanging ideas. We welcome all inputs. And from G4TT1 Broadcasting Network and the ambitious leaders, this is Bobby Budram reporting. Have a good day.